and part of life is learning when to enjoy the actual journey and not just the destination. Welcome back to Scrubs and Soy Sauce. I'm your host, Miki.
I'm your co-host, Kevin.
And that might be the last time you hear us say that, ever.
With a heavy heart and no glasses, because Miki thinks that they're reflecting off of we uphold the highest quality of our program. Therefore, any bad pictures of my glasses, our equipment are pristine.
Even on this last episode, we are still changing and fixing up the setup. Today, we've gotten a new stand for the light, and so it's reflecting off of Kevin's blue light glasses, and so we've decided to botch that for now. As you can probably tell from the title of this video, we've had an awesome year with you guys hosting Scrubs and Soy Sauce. It has been the biggest pleasure of both Kevin and myself, and I feel like I'm about to cry.
Was this episode number 33?
No, this is episode number 35.
35. I wasn't part of 34 and 33. Our goal is to just kind of reminisce about all the good times that we had making this podcast, but also to let you know that it is not easy and all the things we've learned about the process.
Yeah, I think so. We want to talk a little bit about the podcast and some honest thoughts about it and how it's gone over the last year. And of course, express our gratitude and thanks. We're actually filming this episode on Thanksgiving, so very fitting. Also, just maybe we can talk a little bit about being creators and the feeling of never being good enough, specifically applicable to the Enneagram 3 of the relationship, aka me. Yeah, maybe you can give me a little therapy sesh. And
should we just make a weekly video where I'm just your therapist?
I think a lot of people who are in healthcare also happen to be Enneagram 3s, and so I think there's a lot that people can relate to when it comes to feelings of just like never feeling like you're good enough, always moving your goalposts, and things just never being enough, which we'll tie back in with the podcast and why it's coming to a close for this year. Anyways, so this past year has been so much fun. The podcast has been a project that we have been meaning to put out for the last many years, and so I'm very, very happy that in 2023 that is a dream that we made come true. And it's also the first project that really is both Kevin and me. A lot of things are just focused more so on me, and this was something that Kevin was very happy to be a part of. And, you know, we worked really hard to work with our graphics person. Shout out to May for designing the most beautiful cover. So on this final episode, I would love to talk a little bit about the cover art, if you will allow me, because a lot of thought was put into this. And so every single one of these were hand drawn and specifically chosen out to represent us and things that are important to us. And so, Kevin, do you want to start with maybe the things related to you?
Well, there's the Lucky in the middle, and then there's his favorite toy, the chicken toy. There's Scrubs and Soy Sauce, a pager, a nice backpack. I love my backpacks. There's peanut butter that you like, cheesecake that you like, sushi that you like.
And a green tea, because I drink green tea every single morning without fail.
And a stethoscope, because I use a stethoscope as a surgery resident so much.
Yes. And a little Hawaiian flower, because, you know, we love Hawaii and that always has a very special place in our heart. But we thought that this cover art really encapsulated who we are as human beings, and we poured our heart, soul, and love into this project.
Yeah. We have a lot of great episodes, right? What was your favorite ones to write or do?
Some of my favorite ones, the Q&A in Chinese was definitely something I really enjoyed. It's also our top viewed podcast episode on YouTube, which was a lot of fun. I edited that episode all myself, and then we also worked with a translator who kind of half translated the episode but did not do a good job, so I ended up having to go through and edit almost every single SRT caption.
That was a hot mess.
It was a hot mess, and he was kind of expensive.
Yeah, it was worse than Google Translate.
Yeah, but it was a really fun episode. And because it was a podcast format, I felt like you could hear a little bit more of our banter in Mandarin, which was a lot of fun. I also feel like when you speak a different language, it kind of brings out a different side of your personality that you may not see in a different language. And so it's always fun for me to watch other people banter in a different tongue. Some other episodes that I really enjoyed were the How to Deal with Asian Parents, part 1 and part 2. I think those were very difficult conversations for us to put together. And of course, I think every family, you have ongoing things that you are working to solve, working to improve. And the two of us felt that it was very important for us to put those episodes out because we knew that a lot of you guys were struggling with things that we maybe are currently struggling with or had struggled with in the past. And we are lucky enough to have a platform. And so to be able to discuss some of the things that other people may not feel comfortable talking about was very, very important to me.
I really like the episodes where you're talking about your passions, such as your superb ability in interviewing, and it was like a passion project where you created your guide and then you're also able to, help other people. You put a lot of hard work into all these episodes.
The podcast has been really important to me, and I guess it just feels sad that it kind of feels a little bit like a failure. Like
It's not a failure.
not a failure in the sense of like, I don't want it to come across that like I'm ungrateful at all, because truly like every single view, every single listen means so much to us, and it's been a project that we have been passionate about, and from the get-go, like no matter what happened to it, like it was something that I wanted to do. I think from a business perspective, you really have to think about what to put your time and your resources into and what makes sense and what doesn't. And I guess out of all of the projects that I have worked on over like the last like 7-8 years, this is the most
least lucrative.
No, not even that. I don't even care about the money. I just wish it performed better. And I think we've been really transparent with you guys about the fact that we have never really made a dime from the podcast. Like our initial investment into the podcast was a pretty large amount. I don't think our intention was ever to make money from the podcast. We really just wanted to.
I mean, it would be nice, but.
Yeah. But I mean, I think we really just wanted to have some more deeper conversations and allow a platform for people who really wanted to get to know us a little bit better to be able to do that. And well, like I really am not an emotional person. Like this is very out of character for me.
I don't know. I think it just caused a lot of stress on you over the last few months, right?
Anything I do, I want to do to the best of my ability. And when I cannot control the outcome and I don't know what to do about it, I think it's really frustrating. And there's this idea of the sunken cost fallacy where like once you've done something, you're like, oh, I've already done a little bit, so I need to just keep doing it. Otherwise, it's not worth it. Whereas really like what you actually probably need to do is like pull the plug on it. But especially for something as personal like as this podcast has been to us, I think it's hard to say
goodbye.
And the only reason I have to say goodbye is because I'm literally like so overwhelmed and bursting at the seams with my personal life, with my career, with everything else that I am juggling right now, that it only feels fitting that we need to take a pause.
A vacation.
Which I've never taken a real vacation in my life.
I agree.
I don't know if you know that. So we're going to Hawaii next week, and it was my full intention to take a vacation. And what did you say to me?
I was like, are you sure? Is your full intention? What do you have planned for us?
No, what did you say that you thought I had planned?
You're like, do you have a photo shoot? How many vlogs you have planned? How many TikToks you have where we have to film every location that we're at to get the right transitions? And you're like, I want to film a YouTube video at this location and this location.
Except I didn't consider any of that work. And it's not like I had it all written down. It was just innate in my head. It was like
I think it's
presumption.
easier. I think it's easier when it's written down, the burden, but when it's just amorphic in your head, it's probably more overwhelming.
But in my head, I don't understand why that's such a big deal, because it's all fun. Like those are all fun things to do, and I genuinely enjoy making content.
But some of it is stressful still, even if it is fun.
Yeah, well, I think Kevin explained to me that he was like, anytime you have something impending for filming, I'm unable to relax. And so let's say we have something on the filming schedule every day until the last day of the vacation. I will literally be stressed for the entire time.
Or it's just on the last day and we don't do anything for 5 days, which is not realistic.
What do you mean?
Like even if we didn't have to do anything for 3 days and then we had something on the last day,
I'd still be thinking about it for the 3 days that we weren't doing anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it'd probably stress me out even more, because why are we not doing something about it when we have time to be doing something about it, you know? I talk about my love for Enneagrams a lot on this podcast, and feel free to refer back to that episode if you need a refresher on Enneagrams. But type 3s are titled the Achiever, and basically, to sum it all up, we have a fear of failure and being worthless, and we feel that there needs to be a purpose to life. Like, I feel like I need a reason to live, and I constantly need to give myself reasons to live. And for me personally, I think I have chosen my work, specifically my creator work, my creative work related to content and filming. And that is the thing that gives me the most purpose and the most amount of joy. But I think a lot of people can relate to this idea of as soon as you hit a goalpost, like let's say you're like, okay, I want to hit like 100K subscribers. Once you hit that, you celebrate maybe for a little bit and then you move on to the next post, right? You're like, okay, how about like 1 million? And then after 1 million, you're like 10 million. So it's never enough. And part of life is learning when to enjoy the actual journey and not just the destination. But obviously that's much easier said than done.
I think that's why a lot of threes are healthcare workers too, right? Where, you always want to just help the next patient and keep moving. And it's very difficult for you to be ever satisfied with your work. Like I tell you, hey, you did great today. And you're like, no, it was okay.
Well, because there's always room for improvement. And I feel like I'm always constantly comparing
And then-
myself with the peak of who I was, like at my best. So everything is relative to that. And then if I ever attain a new peak, then that's the new thing I'm comparing myself to. Or if my peaks aren't good enough, I look at other people's peaks, then I'm like, all right, let's use that peak for comparison.
That's very difficult to survive. It's not healthy.
Yeah, so I think Kevin and I have had a conversation, and
Just one.
the summary is that I do need to rest a little. As crazy as
Can you
this
say that?
sounds.
Can you say that again? I need to.
But the thing is, like, I really
you
want to
just-
explain this idea that I work in my head 24/7. Like, I do not rest. There's not a single day, a single moment in this life where I'm not thinking about something that could become something. Like, anything and everything could be content. And
That's very stressful.
no, and I constantly think about like, oh, what can I do in this moment to make something that would make someone happy or to entertain someone or be something that is very useful? If I find a good deal, like I really feel compelled to share because like if I have something good, why would I not share it with other people? But it's impossible to turn my brain off.
But we can try. Do you think it's possible for you to try a little bit? Is that why we're taking a pause on the podcast?
Yeah, so we're taking a pause so I can try to rest a little bit, maybe.
Yes, I think we can set some times, like on Monday between 3 to 6 p.m., you will rest.
That's not possible. Like life will come at me and there will be things I need to do. So the thing is that like recently I hired somebody to help me out with my work. And so they work with me essentially on a full-time basis. And I don't know why I was under the impression that when she started working with me, my workload would decrease. And it's true. She has taken off so many of my responsibilities, but you know what I did?
Make more responsibilities.
Yeah, I made more responsibilities to fill up my time. And so I have learned that I'm just the type of person where if there's any ounce of spare time, I will just create a new responsibility to fill. But it's not necessarily more effective or more efficient or better. Like more is not always better. So I am very sad to say that Scrubs and Soy Sauce is coming to an end, at least for now. I want you to know that every single comment, every single review, every single interaction that has ever happened with the podcast, I have personally read, and it's brought me so much joy to feel like I'm a little bit closer to you guys. Thank you. Whether this is the first episode you're tuning into or you've listened to all 35, it truly does mean the world. The podcast coming to a pause is not at all a reflection of any of you, but more so a reflection of me and my mental state and just needing a little bit of a pause to reallocate some resources. I think I'm hoping to redirect that energy more so towards YouTube and maybe putting out more videos over there. Again, filling up the time, the void with new responsibilities.
The void.
It's been really, really, really special. And if there are things that you would like us to speak about in the future, maybe it won't be in a podcast format, but there's plenty of other opportunities. I put out at least one short a day. We've got at least one YouTube video a week. And so please do leave them in the comments. I'm so happy to read them. And if you have constructive feedback for the podcast and what you feel like we could have done better, I'm also very happy to read and receive those messages. And so feel free to DM them to Scrubs and Soy Sauce if you want it to be private, or leave them in the comment down below. Overall, just really happy and really grateful for the last year that we've been able to spend together. And regardless of what happened in the past and what happens in the future, we will have 35 beautiful episodes to look back on.
And just because you're in Enneagram 3, can we talk about some of the milestones that the podcast has accomplished, the positive ones? We were trending, or we were like number one in a few countries in a couple of episodes earlier on. And we were very excited. We would go on the Chartable and look it up, and we were fighting with some of the popular podcasts out there with professional editing and professional studios, while we're just here with, I guess, two cameras, a little light, and an iPhone. So I think I'm very proud of that for us.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then we have probably overall on our platform and everything more than 1 million views on just us talking about things, which is crazy if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about it in terms of like people, some of the podcast episodes have multiple tens of thousands of views. Imagine if that many people were traveling to our house, we'd have so much traffic. It's not the final end, but it is a pause. And it is a little bit sad, but we are happy about what we have accomplished.
Above anything, we want to thank you for your time. Thank you for being here with us. And we hope you have a good rest of your year. Until next time.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.